So when I was 15, I was living in New York City, hitchhiked up to a place called Hunter Mountain to go skiing for the day. And on my way back, there was a blizzard. And I got stuck at an exit on the New York State highway. And back then, for you youngins, they used to have these things called payphones, which were these stands that had these phones in them that you had to put money in to make a phone call. And I called my dad to ask for help, and he said, "You know, I don't worry about you. I worry about the people you come in contact with." And he hung up the phone. That was a good man talking to his oldest son. So I decided I should die and lie down in the snow and fell asleep during the blizzard. I woke up to this blaring sound of this truck, opened my eyes and looked up, and there was the grill of the truck, and its wheels were about 6 inches away from my body. I got up. The guy was yelling. He was screaming at me. He says, "Get in." And he drove me home, yelling at me the entire ride. Now, you'd think an incident like that would somehow make you become more, enlivened with life, but I reacted with anger. Not at him, because he was a lot bigger than I was, but at those who were weakest in my life, which were my siblings. I terrorized those guys. I was so angry at the world. And I remember those times and the way they bring up in me, oh my God, that's what I was like back then. And it carried as I grew up. When I tell you guys I am not the same person, they can vouch to it. So in our 20s, Rick, the sibling closest in age, he gets married to Donna, and I am still acting out like crazy, and to the point where there were nights at 3 a.m. when I would be knocking at their door with their 2 little kids and their windows, "Let me in, let me in." And I can't even imagine the grief I caused that marriage. And it was hard. When I think back on this stuff, it's really hard, but it was really part of my life. I was that angry. I was that acting out. There were times with David and Melissa, who's my other sibling here, I acted out with them. Now, here's the most extraordinary part of that story. They always let me in. They always took care of me. They always stepped up and said, "Okay, he's the older brother. We're going to take care of him, even though he's a mess." And they did it time after time after time through the years. And I am so deeply grateful for that. To have them in my life, that they would actually step up as many times as they did, and whatever grief it caused their relationships, which, the wives, these poor wives, what they had to deal with their brothers going, he's my brother. And so that's who I was. And I bring this up because I feel like there are so many times in my life, I'm a miracle. I'm a miracle for still being alive. I acted out so much back then. I used to smuggle in pot where I could get busted and be in jail for 10 years for that stuff. And I did it for the excitement of it. You know, I was so angry. I was so angry back then that my heart was closed off with such incredible armor. I mean, it was so closed off, I couldn't feel. The only way I could feel a thing was by doing these extreme activities that are not extreme sports. They were things I was making up. Oh, well, let's try this. Let's go do this. I once climbed at JFK Airport. I climbed up on the roof to watch a plane take off with snipers on all the other roofs watching out for guys like me. That's who I was. Transformation is possible. I know this because of me. I know this because of who I've become and who I am now. Transformation is possible. But it took decades. My rock bottom place was, you know, they talk about addicts, right? And I was an addict, not to any one thing, but to the extremes of life, to feeling something, to feeling anything, because there were times I didn't think I could. And so I would do all this crazy stuff just to have that rush, that adrenaline rush, so I could feel something, because the armor around my heart was so big. And it wasn't until I found a Center for Spiritual Living back in Asheville that I even began the process of unraveling some of that. But it wasn't until I was in that cabin in the woods, that was my rock bottom, of being addicted to anger, of being addicted to crazy, of being addicted to I was the craziest person in the room. I was addicted to that. And it wasn't until I was in that cabin in the woods that it all dawned on me that I was throwing my life away. I wasn't getting anywhere with anything. That I began to grow into who I've become. But that was just the beginning. Coming out of there, I met Ash. This woman has been an incredible blessing in my life. The way she has loved me has been such an extraordinary part of the melting away of that armor that I wore for the first 50 years of my life. It was part of the melting away of finally starting to feel without having to do something crazy to feel. The melting away. So what she had to deal with, you know, David yesterday on our walk in Elk Island, by the way, we went out to Elk Island yesterday, and the entire herd was there. John and I were talking 70% chance we're going to see a buffalo. We saw the whole herd. So that was fun. David had used a word, dysregulation, and I've been thinking a lot about that word and about how that's been my life for the first 50 years. It was just totally dysregulation, totally out of it, totally whatever was going to go on. There were never too many drugs. There was never too much alcohol. Didn't care how it wound up. Didn't really care if I died. Didn't care. And now I care so deeply. It blows my mind, the difference of what's possible. But it wasn't just one thing. right? I did workshops, I did this, I did that. It was the consistency of my dedication to, I can't live this way anymore. I need to live a different way. I need to feel it differently. And every day, one day at a time, every day, approaching life like, okay, here's another day for me to grow. I get up here and I talk to you guys about classes all the time because and there's lots of you who are taking classes, and that's fantastic. And it's the continuation. It's not a one-drop thing. We need to find in ourselves that place of we're going to keep going. We're going to keep working this. We're going to keep moving forward to that place that feels so raw, so tender. I didn't even know that existed in me because the armor was so tight, so strong around me. So it was over time, being with Ash, feeling it melt away, slowly, step by step through the years, that all of a sudden I started going, wow, is that how I was behaving? And so at first, right, I did a lot of beating myself up, which happens when you first start realizing maybe you've behaved in ways that you wished you didn't. But then the next part of that is you want to get deeper into I wanted to get deeper into that place of healing in myself where I could love myself even though I'd done these things. Because I knew I couldn't make amends from a place of I'm wounded, I'm faulty, there's something wrong with me. I mean, the amount of time I spent back in that cabin thinking there's something wrong with me, that this is how my life has turned out. And the shift that I went through around that was only the beginning. You start seeing life differently. You're in the foundations class. You start seeing life a little differently. That's just the beginning. Because then it's how to apply it. It's how to be there in these tender, raw moments with things that just can hurt so much. I have learned so deeply at this point that it is in the heartbreak, in the pain, in the dysregulation that actually true healing occurs to bring us up to this whole new place where it doesn't matter about the circumstance, it matters how I'm feeling, because how I'm feeling will affect how I'm expressing, right? How you're feeling will impact how you're expressing in the world. If you're angry, you're going to express with anger. Ask them. They know. They were there. But once you start shifting, you start expressing differently. Or you can be angry and stuff it in, and who you spend all your time being angry at is yourself. And then the next thing you know, you have these physical ailments, and you don't know why. I eat well. I run and take care of myself. How come I got all these physical ailments? Well, the odds are you're still stewing inside something in you that you haven't yet gotten deep enough into love enough to allow that to feel any breath around it. Right? Because when we breathe into that place, we can start feeling that tender, that softness in us, and then it starts expressing in the world. A deeper breath in the belly where you just go, oh, I really am okay. I really am somebody to be loved. Somebody who not only can be cared for, but can care for others. That's really possible when we get into that place in ourselves that is so raw, so tender, hurts so much. So we had this party Friday night. It was a great party. It was a great party. I had a great time. But there was this one thing that happened that really busted me. And what folks got together and wrote a song about me being here. And they started playing that song. And I couldn't believe that people cared for me enough to write a song. I mean, that was the most awesome thing ever. And I'm sitting there, and the funniest part about it was I really didn't hear the song. I mean, honestly. I was crying so much that I really didn't hear the song, right? So the next morning, I finally played and read the lyrics and heard the song, and it's great. But all I was doing was sitting there, and here's the thing about feeling loved. It can still feel painful. My heart hurt so much as I was being loved so much. It still hurt because, have you ever cut yourself and then you take off the Band-Aid too soon and the skin underneath is really raw, right? And it's healed, but it's still so raw that if you touch it, it hurts like heck. It really hurts hard, a lot. That's how it feels with my heart a lot of the time. It hurts so much in its rawness because this is so new for me. I mean, I'm still evolving. Last week I talked to you about being a work in progress. I still am. It's this evolution of me that lets me know that anyone can evolve. But what you have to be willing to experience in that evolution, the pain of it, I don't know that that's avoidable. It hasn't been for me. There's a pain to evolution. There's a pain, it's like the heartbreak itself is the healing. And so how deeply can we be with that instead of going, well, I need to, get my head straight and I need to, be like this and I got to go do this. There's a dedication to being with pain that is part of the healing process. And so I find myself crying more and more of the time. I find myself like a cracked egg, like that surface thing and it started with just a small crack and there was just a little bit of light go through. And when that first crack happened and that little bit of light came through, I said to myself, oh, now I'm healed. Little did I know the next crack was coming. And then being somebody who likes to be clear and stuff, when the next crack happened, I said, oh, now I'm healed. It took me a couple of cracks to realize, this may keep going for a while, like maybe the rest of my days. Right? That we get to experience these moments of healing, and thank God for that, because what would make us go on and do more if we didn't? Right? That having those moments where we go, oh, I'm so much better now, this is great, is really necessary, because if those moments didn't happen, what on earth would make us continue? But then you get thrown, right? If you're new at this stuff, you really get thrown when the next big heartbreak happens. And you're like, I thought I healed this. Have you ever heard yourself say that? Yeah. I thought I healed this. Yeah. Isn't that funny? Oh, no, it doesn't feel funny. Let me let you know it does in retrospect. It finally does feel funny to think that the journey is over. There's only one thing that makes the journey over, And that's when they're saying, oh, wasn't that person a really nice person when they were alive? That's when the journey's over. Until then, we're just going to keep going and keep growing, right? And that's why I talk about the growing edge so much, because that's what lets us know what's next, right? Where are we still getting a little triggered, getting a little ruffled? Where are our feathers still inside? You can feel it in your heart. Your shoulders go up a little bit. Your stomach gets a little tight, right? That's the spot. That's where what needs work now, right? And that's where dedication comes in. Without the dedication, you could easily, and I've done this, right? I've done it like, God, I've been through so much. How could there be another layer? How can I not be at the end of this journey? How could this not be healed? And you feel like, God, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted from all this healing. Or am I the only one? Right? So this is what we go through if we think, we get frustrated and go, it's over. Well, it's not. There's more coming. But it takes dedication, or you can go, this is far enough. And I've seen people do that, right? I've seen people who go, the quality of my life is good here, right? I'll handle what it is I got to handle now. This is far enough for me, right? And so you get to that spot, and then you live that way. And then you have that amount of suffering, or you don't, or you somehow find your way to be okay with it. I can't. I want to keep going. I want to feel it in as many moments as I can, that it's possible to feel such awe. I get up here at the beginning of each service and I go, we are powerful, creative, spiritual beings here to live a life of awe. And so how do we bring that into the mundane, into the cleaning the bathrooms or going to work or whatever it is we're doing? We have to be willing to go to look at those situations, to be with those situations and go, how open-hearted am I here? Or do I treat this as different because it's business? How open-hearted am I in this situation because this person's out to hurt me? How open-hearted am I here because the politics aren't working the way I think they ought to, and the world's just this place going to hell in a handbasket? Where in your life are you thinking this isn't the place to be open-hearted? This isn't the place for compassion, because that's the place. That's the spot. Wherever you think it's not, that's the spot. Did I really just say that? There's this saying, there is no place where God is not, It's true, except we get to not see it that way. We get to see life any way we want, and thus we suffer. Right? The thing I know most about this path that I am walking is the freedom of it. The freedom from shame, right? I did all these things in the past, and I'm so in the moment now. All I'm about is, how do I make amends now? How do I treat people now? What am I doing now? Because if I delve in the past, I'm lost. If you delve in the past, you're lost. There's nothing back there you can do. There's something here you can do. Now, today, this moment. And when we are there with that, we are on our growing edge. Checking open heart or not? Open mind, are we soft and curious, or are we sure we know? Or not, We get to make those choices in every moment, to take a look at that, to be with that, to be transformed, to give ourselves the opportunity for transformation any moment we want. That's the beauty of it all. We get to have every moment be the opportunity for transformation or not. But we're making that choice. in every single moment. And that's what I know for you. That's what I know for myself. That's what I know for the world, because if we begin to look for the open-hearted lesson, the open-hearted way of being, that's what will transform the world. What we focus on, we give power to, right? He said here all the time, what we focus on, we give power to. Let's focus on open-heartedness. Let's focus on love, compassion, and kindness. Because that's then what we're voting for. That's then what we're putting into the world. And that's what we're making in motion in every interaction we can. Thank you. I love you.